guys, this is going to be,
Uh-oh. This might be a breastfeeding video. This might be a breastfeeding video because she's so grumpy. Yes. Wait, no, they haven't seen her yet, have they? Look, there's a baby. And her name's Leora. And she's a baby, but she's hungry.
she's got an awesome calic back
She
here.
does.
Yeah.
Well, she gets it from me. Alright.
Alright, so this is Leora Jean. We'll talk about her middle name real quick.
Yeah, but if I start crying on your camera, you have to delete it. Got her?
Yeah, got her.
Well, yeah, I've always wanted to give one of the kids a name that was similar to that because I grew up with one of those grandpas that was like he was the kind of grandpa you hear about in stories. He was accepting of everybody before it was trendy. He was, I don't know, he was my best friend growing up. He's what my dad is to my kids, and I'm really fortunate to have that. But his name was Eugene, and I always wanted to name one of the kids with that name, not that name, but something to make the memory of my grandfather live on. And the problem was we were so in love with names with Jaden and Coralie, we couldn't figure out a way to make it sound good. And I didn't want to curse my kids with a name that sounded awkward. But Leora Jean just sounded good, and I wanted it, and she encouraged me to do it. And it was something really important to me that she not only encouraged me to do, but I think she was also behind herself, so that's her name, Leora Jean, named after my grandfather Eugene.
And the name Leora is just one that I really, really liked. And with Coralie, I'm just in love with Coralie's name. I always have been. And every time someone hears it, they compliment how pretty it is. And we still, to this day, haven't came across any other Coralies.
And we constantly get people telling us how, oh, her name is so nice and unique and blah, blah, blah. It's really...
So Leora had a lot to live up to in that department. So I really wanted to find something that would be comparable. So I don't know any Leoras. I haven't come across any Leoras, and I think it's not off the wall, but it's also...
Well, and it's similar to a very, very old name, so it's not something just weird. Like Leoric is an old English name. So I like it.
All right, so this is going to be Leora's labor and delivery story. I'm going to start off by saying I apologize. I had every intention of videotaping like I did with Coralie, and things just happened so fast and were so crazy that there wasn't time to even think about filming. We didn't really even get any pictures.
I was worried about getting you to the hospital.
Yes, so I apologize, there is no video footage, but things were absolutely crazy. So we'll start out by, what day was it? August 17th, my due date, right?
It was your due date.
Okay, so my due date came along. Couldn't believe that I made it to my due date because I thought for sure that I would have her before then. That was a Wednesday, was my due date. I had a doctor's appointment on Monday, and at that appointment, there was no change in dilation. I was still 3 centimeters dilated, the same as I was at my 39-week appointment, which was I was really sad about. I was really hoping that I'd be more dilated. But he did say my cervix was even softer than it was last time, and he told me that he thought, all that really needed to happen was contractions needed to start, and I would probably dilate very quickly. He also did another membrane sweep, so that was my second membrane sweep. So that was on Monday. Wednesday was my due date. I went to school, you're driving me nuts.
Sorry.
I went to school like usual, and then after school at 6 o'clock I had a chiropractor appointment. So that was did I go 3 times? Or?
3.
Yeah, 3. That was my 3rd chiropractor appointment. So I got readjusted again using the Webster technique, which helps realign your pelvis and all of that. So that happened at 6 o'clock. Came home. What time did I take the castor oil?
You took 1 tablespoon at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
I felt like it was later. It was probably 7.
Was it right when the kids went to bed?
It was something. I don't remember.
It was between 6 and 8.
Anyways, so it was my due date. I was done being pregnant. I was already 3 centimeters dilated. My cervix was extremely soft. So we decided, or I decided that to take.
Well, I didn't stop you.
Yeah, to take some castor oil. But I took a very small amount. I took 1.
I made it. It was a 1 tablespoonful measuring spoon, and I didn't even like scrape the spoon, so it wasn't even a true tablespoon.
So it was very little, a very small dosage, because I did not want to become miserable with diarrhea. So I took a very small amount, and I went to bed. And I was really upset. You know, I woke up in the middle of the night once. I was like, dang it, I'm still pregnant. So I woke up probably around 12 or so, and I decided to get my breast pump out, and I used the breast pump for about 15 minutes, pumping both sides. Nothing was happening, and I'm like, screw this, I'm just gonna go back to bed. I'm gonna be pregnant forever. Then I woke up around 3 a.m. I woke up to some contractions, and I couldn't tell at first if they were real or not, because I had been having Braxton Hicks contractions for weeks. So they kind of felt like that, but they were wrapping around, and I could feel it a little bit in my back. They weren't painful at all, but I could just kind of feel like a dull ache in my back, along with what felt like Braxton Hicks contractions. That was at 3 o'clock. I texted my doula at 3:01, I think, and told her, I'm having contractions that are wrapping around my back. I don't know. You're driving me nuts.
I'm sorry, but it looks so good on the little screen up there. It looks like we're we're metronome.
We're gonna give people seasickness.
Oh.
So I texted her at 3:01. I'm like, I'm having contractions that are wrapping around in my back. No clear pattern yet. So I don't know if it's gonna turn into anything or not, but just a heads up. Then I tried to lay back down. And do you remember what time I
3:14.
I messaged you?
3:14.
3:14. So it was that quick.
Mm-hmm.
So 3:01, I wasn't even sure it was real labor. Didn't know if it was gonna turn into anything. 3:14, Thomas was up in his man cave. What were you doing?
It's a den.
Playing. Were you
I
playing
was
video games?
playing video games with my friends.
Okay, playing video games. So I was downstairs in the bedroom, so I messaged him on Facebook, because that's how we communicate with each other.
That sounds so bad. We don't actually speak. We send text messages and Facebook messages
I mean,
to
but
each other.
the bedroom and the game room are really far apart.
They're on opposite ends of the house.
And you're upstairs.
It is a game room, because it's a board game room too, so it's a communal room. My computer just happens to be in it.
Anyways, so I messaged him, and I don't remember what it said. Do you remember what the message said?
It said, "Are you busy? Can you come downstairs?"
Oh, are you busy? Can you come downstairs? I think I was just gonna tell him, you know, I'm starting to feel something. I don't know if it's gonna turn into anything, but
Yeah, but tell
just,
them what I did.
What?
I flew down the stairs.
Yeah, you flew down the stairs, and like he came like running in. I'm like, dude, chill out. Like I think I might be having real contractions. Just to let you know.
And aside, my reaction, even though from the onset seemed unjustified and maybe over the top, in hindsight, perfectly acceptable.
So, and then even just a few minutes after that, like he wasn't even in the bedroom very long, and like I had to like close my eyes and kind of like breathe through the contractions.
You stopped talking through your contractions
Yeah.
while we were in there.
Yeah, and I was timing them on my phone with the contraction timer, and
Let's talk about those times.
they were.
Let's talk about those times that you were timing on
Okay,
your phone.
they were like what, a minute and 30 seconds apart, a minute and 24 seconds.
They started out at like 2:40, and I don't know a lot about the female anatomy as in the context of giving birth. I do know that everything I've ever heard my entire life says that when your contractions are 5 minutes apart, you're supposed to go to the hospital.
Well, they were never 5 minutes
No.
apart. I mean, unless I was like having contractions in my sleep and didn't realize I was having contractions. Like the first ones literally that I felt was at 3 o'clock and they weren't painful. And then they just went from not being painful to being painful very, very quickly. And at that point, I think Thomas went to try to find the phone numbers to the birth center and to my doctor's office. 'Cause
Which
I had to
after
call.
running around the house realized they were on your dresser like 3 feet away from me.
Yeah, so while he was doing that, I had the bright idea that I was going to get into the tub and
Yeah, she did. She ran that one by me too, and I went, no, that's stupid. Let's go to the hospital.
so with Corali's labor, it was so crazy, crazy long. Like if you've seen my videos laboring with her, and if you seen my video where I do her labor and delivery story, it was so long. So I just assumed, that it would at least be a few hours before things got serious. So I wanted to get in the tub, and I wanted to labor at home as long as possible. So I got in there, and like as soon as I got in there, contractions became extremely painful.
It's almost like that your contractions were really close together. Oh, princess.
All right, sorry, we had to take a break. She needed to nurse. But anyways, with Corali's labor, it was so long, and almost all labor and delivery birth stories, you think that what?
Your battery life's left.
Shoot.
Hurry. Or you just want to do this another time?
No, we'll just go until it cuts off, and we'll
All right.
finish later.
So, my point. The thing is, when Coralie was born, you started out slow. Your water broke first. You weren't having contractions. You certainly weren't having them a minute 30 apart. So I don't understand why. Where in your brain the two were equivocal.
Well, in my mind,
I think you had a preconceived
labor.
notion of how it was going to go, and you weren't
Yeah.
actually going by the data.
So anyways, I got in the tub because I wanted to labor at home for a little bit before going in, because when I did go with Coralie, I felt really pressured to get things picked up and going because I wasn't having contractions at first after my water broke. So I wanted to stay home as long as possible, for a little while, until things, got intense. Well, I was not in that tub very long, and I'm like, contractions were like one on top of the other, extremely painful.
They started stacking after 10
And
minutes.
I was like, Thomas, we gotta go now.
Whoa, actually, to be fair, I had been saying that, and you
I
finally
know.
said, Thomas, you're right.
Yeah, you made that point already.
Oh, I'm going to reiterate it multiple
Okay,
times.
so I got out of the tub. At that point, Thomas had called the birth center, and he called my doctor's office.
I called the doula, the birth center.
Oh, you called the doula too?
Yeah, I called the doula. Well, I texted her. My parents and Jess.
Oh, I forgot about your parents. So his parents, actually, you called your parents before I got in the tub.
Did I?
Yeah. You
Okay.
called them before I got in the tub.
That's
And
right.
I got in the tub to wait because I was hoping to wait it out until she got here.
My mother, yeah.
So that she could watch the kids, and then we were going to go to the birth center. But she lives 40 minutes away, but I thought that I could last that long. But once I was in the tub and I realized they were literally contraction after contraction on top of each other, I realized like there's no way that we could wait for her to get here. So our babysitter lives about
5 minutes.
about 5-ish minutes away, and Thomas called her to see if there was any chance that she could come over and watch the kids until his mom got there.
I called her at 3:45 in the morning, and she got her 1-year-old up and was over here in like 7 minutes. She's awesome.
Yeah, and at that point, I had gotten out of the tub,
Yeah.
had gotten dressed. I came in here into the living room to wait for the babysitter to get here so that we could leave. And I remember Jaden was up at that point, and I
Because
couldn't
we
even.
thought we were going to have to leave with the kids.
Yeah,
Because it was getting so bad.
At that point, I could not talk to him. Like, if I was having a contraction, I could not talk to anybody. I was in some serious pain. Babysitter got here, and I was like doubled over on the car seat, and I just,
seat of the car.
I couldn't even say hi to her. I couldn't look at her. All I could do was like try to concentrate
you yelled at me and you said, Thomas, in the car, and then we drove home.
Yeah, I was like, we have got to go. So he grabbed the bags. I had like this nice notebook in my bag that had like all the things that we needed to add to our bag when it was time. Our toothbrushes, the toiletries, computer, chargers, those kind of things. There was literally no time for that. We were like literally scrambling. Well, Thomas was scrambling because I couldn't really move at that point. I was in so much pain. And we just literally had to take what we had packed, throw it in the car, and leave. We did grab a towel for me to sit on just in case my water broke, and then we were gone. And then once I was like in the car, like that's when contractions really, really started to get extremely intense. And I remember saying, Thomas, if I get to the hospital and I'm not really far along, I want an epidural. I'm like, screw natural childbirth. Like, I'm done already. Like, I haven't even been in labor that long, but these are killer. And like, I'm not getting a break in between them. Like, it is killing me. And I think I started screaming at one point too.
Yes.
Through contractions, like
While driving on the highway. While I was driving on the
yeah,
highway.
it was terrible. Like, the car ride was horrible because.
And it was only like a 7-minute car
Yeah,
ride.
thank goodness. We're only like 7 minutes from the birth center. Thank goodness, because it was literally the most painful drive of my entire life. He pulled up next to the hospital. He got out to go get me a wheelchair because at that point I could not talk. I could like barely see. Like my vision was blurred because I was just in so much pain and like I just couldn't deal. So he went out. He got out to go get a wheelchair for me. And as soon as he got out of the car, during a contraction, my water broke. So big, huge gush of water.
So glad we brought the towel.
Yeah, so thank goodness I had a towel, and then I really couldn't walk because like the water was literally like going everywhere.
She won't walk if her water breaks. I've learned this over the course of our lives together. Like
So-
even if she's in no pain, her water breaks, she won't walk because it's uncomfortable.
So he went out, got a wheelchair. He started wheeling me in, and at that point, like I can't even describe.
Do you want me to pick up here because I think you kind of lost your sense of yourself at this point.
Go ahead.
So we go into, you go to a hospital because the birth center is attached to a normal hospital. So you go in through the hospital entrance, and you go through the first part of triage where the lady sits down and goes, "Why are you here?" and does all that stuff. So George's screaming so much, the lady just sent us upstairs to the normal triage, where you actually go into the room. And we got into the room, and we got her on the bed. The whole time she's screaming, "Thomas, help me. Somebody help me. I need drugs. Somebody help me."
No, well, when
No,
you-
this was on the way up to that room.
No, I'm talking about the little office, the check-in place. I was begging for. I'm like, I need an epidural.
At the receptionist
Yeah,
lady, you were already going.
receptionist desk. I'm like, I need an epidural. Look, there's no time for any of this. Just somebody get me an epidural and get it to me now.
And I'm sitting there trying to be reasonable with her, going, "Dear, they have to do their jobs. So the quicker you let them do their jobs, the quicker you'll get drugs." And she did not care. She was just like, they're asking her questions like, "What's your name? What's your address? Blah blah blah. All this stuff they need to do," and she's just like, "Drugs, drugs."
I never said drugs. I kept yelling for an epidural.
Well, do you really want me to go through all the stuff you said, or do you just want me to paraphrase the word drugs?
So,
what I thought.
they took me to, what is the room called?
Triage.
Triage, which is kind of annoying because with Coralie, when they found out they took me to triage, they were kind of like, why did they send you there?
Well, because you came in with Coralie under normal circumstances, you came in there and it could have been an emergency.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they told me that they had to check me. So they put me up on a bed, and the whole time I'm just like screaming, crying, like during contractions.
You almost
like,
fell off the bed.
During contractions, like definitely not my proudest moments at all. Like I was pretty much a crazy person. Like, you know those movies that you watch with like people in labor, like on movies, like freaking out, screaming, and like choking their husbands? That was totally me. Like I was
She had my
freaking.
shirt. My shirt was so stretched out because you were grabbing me by the collar, going, "Thomas, help me!"
I was.
Which, by the way, is funny now. Made me feel like dog poop while it was happening because I couldn't do anything for her.
But because the contractions were one on top of another and so crazy intense, I was kind of like having a panic attack. Like I was having an anxiety attack. Like I was freaked out. Like, oh my God. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be hours of this. So I'm freaking out. Like,
I'm still trying to figure
completely.
out where you got that from, because this was not like your other births at all.
I'm just telling you, in my
I
mind.
know, I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm saying I don't understand where that came from.
And like they kept on wanting me to do things like move up on the bed, get out of the chair.
Yeah.
But
No.
like my contractions were so close together, and I couldn't do anything during a contraction but scream my head off.
The best part was they put her up on the cot and triage, and it was one of those really narrow cots, and they were laying her on her back so they could check her to see how dilated she was. Well, Smarty Pants over here decides that she'll be more comfortable on her side, and full on just rolls off the bed. And
was that before or after they checked me?
That was before. The nurse and I caught you mid-air, and we threw you back on the bed.
Yeah, so that was horrible. So she checked me and she said I was 9 centimeters, almost 10. And the whole time I'm like, I need an epidural.
And what did they tell you?
Please give me an epidural. Like I was begging, like a crazy person, begging
And
for,
what did they tell
for
you?
any type of pain, anything. I'm like, give me something to take the edge off. Give me anything you can give me. Just give me something. And they're like, honey, it's too late. They're like, it is too late. Like you're gonna have a baby.
So that happened, and then they got her out of triage really quickly and got her up to the birth center where they were filling up the tub.
They asked me. They said, well, are you still wanting to do family beginnings?
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, no, I want an epidural. Like, screw this natural childbirth. I want an epidural.
But I'm really happy because a labor and delivery nurse came in and said, it doesn't matter, just get her to family beginnings, because labor and delivery, like, they focus on, the medical side of it.
Yeah.
And family beginnings, they would have just popped her out, and I think you'd have had a much worse time at labor and delivery.
So because I pretty much had no choice and they couldn't give me anything, I was too far, I was too far along. So they wheeled me, and I remember asking, am I gonna have to walk there?
You were so irrational.
They're like, no, honey, we'll wheel you over there. So they wheeled me over. I'm
the cot.
screaming.
You never had to get up again until you got to the tub.
So I was on the cot. They were wheeling me over to the birth center, and the whole time, like during contractions, which are pretty much one right after the other at that point,
They'd always been.
there was like no break at all. So I was pretty much screaming my head off through this hospital. Like I don't even know who we passed. I don't know what was going on. I just know that I was screaming my head off, begging for pain meds the entire time.
Yeah, at one point you grabbed one of the nurses and you're like, I know you can't do the epidural, but can you just give me some morphine? She's like, no, sweetie. By the time it kicks in, the baby will be out. And you're just like, God damn it.
So they got me to so they wheeled me into the birth center bathroom where they were filling up the tub. I got off. How did I get off the cot? I can't remember. You got me off?
If you moved during that, it was pretty much me.
So
just make the assumption.
You lifted me off the cot?
I lifted you and we walked together with your arm around me, and then I put you in the tub.
Okay. Well, actually, I remember the nurse going, "Let me check the temperature," but I climbed over.
You climbed right in.
I climbed over and got right in because I was hoping. What I was hoping was that the water was going to help with the pain, which it didn't. Like, I'm going to be totally honest with you.
You were too far gone.
The water did not help at all. Like, I was in so much pain that the water didn't do anything.
The water's supposed to help you during your laboring, not during your pushing, and you were at pushing.
Yeah, so once I was in the tub, I pretty much just did a bunch of screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Begging for pain meds, begging for an epidural.
I cried 3 times because I couldn't do anything to help you.
And I just
it
kept
made me feel
saying,
terrible.
I can't do this. And they're like, you can do this. I'm like, no, I can't. Sorry, my battery died. So had to charge my battery, and then baby's asleep in the bassinet. Yeah, so when I got in, I was like in complete panic mode, begging for an epidural, begging for pain management, anything and everything.
Morphine.
And I couldn't get comfortable. Was I moving around a lot?
You were shifting. You only moved really twice. You did, because you started out sitting down in the tub, and then you switched to your knees, and then you switched to hands on the side standing.
The midwife kept trying to tell me to lower my voice and to like moan and like keep it low, but I couldn't do it. Like for some reason I don't know, it was weird. Like screaming like made it feel not as bad. And I know like you're not supposed to like run from the pain, but but I felt like screaming kind of helped like run from the pain. It's really weird.
Well, there's a reason that people scream when they're hurt.
And I tried, like through one contraction, I really tried to stay silent and quiet, and the pain just like overtook me, like I couldn't do it. Like, so I don't know, for whatever reason I felt like screaming and freaking out. I don't know what it was, but it just made it better than just sitting there.
Well, you weren't ready for this. You had been mentally preparing for 9 months for coralized labor.
Yeah.
And what you got was something that I don't think they see very often.
No, I don't think so either. So when I got in, like I could like reach my fingers in and I could feel like her head, and she's like, you can start pushing if you want to, and I was like freaked out because I was like, well, aren't you gonna check me to make sure like I'm 10 centimeters before I start pushing?
They were just,
Yeah.
and they tried to communicate this to you, but I don't think you were hearing them. The only thing they were waiting for before they were going to say anything about you pushing was the rest of your cervix to whatever the word is.
Yeah, the lip, like there's a lip of cervix that they were just waiting on.
And then as soon as it was gone, she said you can push if you want to.
Yeah, and it was weird because like I know like some people say like they get that primal instinct to like push, but I don't feel like I ever got that primal instinct that where it just like took over. Like I had to like actually make myself push, which was kind of weird because I don't know, it was weird, and I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be pushing or not, but I'm gonna push anyways.
Yeah, and the thing was, the midwife and the nurses were just like, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. We're here for you.
Just listen to your body. So I found that like pushing like made the contractions feel so much better. Like it was like pushing the pain away. Like, so that's the reason why I was pushing, was because it felt better.
Do you want to talk about what happened after your first big push and the head came out? That's my favorite part of the entire night.
That was after the first push? How many pushes?
Your first big push. Like a little hair or something there. So she had, like, her first big push, the head popped out. And that's when you were standing, because that's when you really started to, like, bear down. And once the baby's head comes out, you can't go back in the water if you're out of the water when it comes out, because it triggers the baby's breathing, what's the word? Breathing reaction? Breathing reflex, whatever. And Jordan tried to sit back down. And the midwife grabbed her leg and told her not to, and Jordan slapped the fuck out of her.
Do you really use that word?
It's
Okay.
appropriate. She slapped her, like full on, like crack, and I had to hold her by the arms. So she's over the tub, I'm outside of the tub in front of her. I had to hold her by her arms, supporting her weight while she pushed the baby out the rest of the way.
So when she came out, she was above water, or was she in water?
She was above water because you stood up and pushed and her head came out, and then you tried to sit back down.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize that her head was out. Like, it was the weirdest feeling ever. Like, it just felt like my whole entire, like, vagina and butt and everything was just gonna, like, explode out. It was the weirdest feeling in the whole entire world.
Like triple Chipotle night.
Like, I can't even explain, like, the pressure and, like, the feeling of her body coming out. But I didn't realize that her head was out. Like, it wasn't.
Everybody was trying to talk to you.
I wasn't making that connection.
I
that
really
her
wish
head
we
was
had
out.
the video just so you could see how good those nurses were.
But
they were so good.
The reason I slapped her hand away is because when she tried to move me, like, I felt like this searing pain. Like, I think that's when I ripped, because I got like this sharp, horrible pain down there.
You must have done something because she grabbed you here. She grabbed you like this.
She was trying to scoop me over.
Yeah, because you were trying to sit down.
And I think, like, I don't know, like when I moved my leg, when she moved my legs or whatever it was, it hurt really bad, and that's why my reflexes did what they did.
Nobody blamed you. I mean, you were doing a pain reduction unassisted birth. I was ready for you to hit me. I didn't want you to hit her. She was so sweet.
But I did feel like the burning, like they call it the ring of fire. I felt the burning and like the stretching. It was a crazy feeling. And I guess if you've never had a natural birth, then or if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I just can't even describe the way it felt. It was the weirdest feeling ever in the whole wide world. So then her head came out. I was kind of up leaning over, and then
I was holding you up. I don't know if you remember this, but I was holding your arms. I was holding your weight up.
and then the rest of her body came up, and she was kind of like behind me, like, so I was like facing this way, and like my cord's obviously down that way, so the baby was behind me, and Thomas is like, Jordan, she's beautiful, and I'm like, I can't see her, I can't see her.
You started panicking, I want to see her, I want to see her, because they do their little spot checks to make sure the baby's not going to die. So they had to hold her for like a half a second, and you would have thought that they had her for an hour the way you were acting. You were just like, in your head, it was, I could see it in your eyes, I just went through all this bullshit, I want my baby now.
No, honestly, the mindset I was in was, I'm so glad that was over. Like, I was just so relieved that the pain was gone and that it was over. Like, that's the only thing that I can think about in that moment. And then I was like, oh, I can't see her. So then they handed her to me, and I sat back down in the tub for a little while. And yeah, that's pretty much her birth story. So.
And then I left to get the car.
So 3 a.m. is when I woke up with contractions, and she was born at 5 a.m. So
5:05.
they put 5:05 on everything.
They rounded down then because I looked at the clock. It was 5:05.
Well, they said 5, so they lied. Well, anyways, so 3 a.m. to 5:05 was my labor and delivery. So she came extremely fast. Labor was extremely intense and extremely painful. And I think there's a few things that contributed to that, because I was drinking red raspberry leaf tea every night, which is supposed to tone your uterus and make contractions more effective.
You were drinking a really strongly brewed raspberry leaf tea because you would slow steep that for like an hour before you drink it.
So I was drinking that. I was inserting evening primrose oil at night to help ripen the cervix. And then I had 2 membrane sweeps. And then the day I went into labor, I had a pelvic adjustment. So like everything was like perfectly lined up and in the castor oil. So between all those things, my labor was crazy short and crazy intense. So all of that happened. Then they got me out of the tub. I had to take my wet clothes off. They helped me onto the bed, put the baby on my chest, and then they had to like examine me down there and everything. And probably the worst, besides like the actual contractions, the worst part was I did tear a little bit, and I think that was because she came so fast, and I think like as she was coming out, the midwife.
I think you're putting blame on it. I don't think the way she moved you was not violent enough to do anything.
Okay, but you weren't.
I'm
like
not
you
you.
didn't feel that searing pain when she did that, though.
Yes, but just because a rooster crows doesn't mean the sun comes up.
Okay, well, either way, I tore a little bit, so I had first degree tear. Wasn't bad, but I did have to get stitches, and that was horrible. Like they said that they gave me, they give you the needle for numbing, but it did not work very well because I felt a lot of it, and it was terrible, horrible, and it took.
Well, it's also the most.
Yeah,
parts of your body.
and like after you have before, obviously I had an epidural with the previous 2, so you're numb completely down there during all the afterbirth stuff. So for it not to be numb and it to be really sore and then messing with stuff down there.
You tore with Jake too, but you didn't say a word about the stitches.
It was terrible. And then another thing that I didn't realize was going to be so awful was when they massage your stomach to try to, get the blood. That was extremely painful. Like massaging my stomach hurt really, really, really bad. I didn't like that at all. And the weirdest feeling was when the placenta came out. Like that was such a weird feeling as well. You had gone to get the car, so you weren't there.
That's another story.
What?
About how I left the car out in front of the hospital for an hour and a half with the door open.
The door was open?
I rushed you in. I got you out, and I didn't bring anything. I left everything because you were in so much pain. Like, I'm glad the kids weren't with us because I probably would have left them in the damn car.
So when the placenta came out, they put it in a pan and they brought it over and they explained to me all the different parts and they showed it to me. Thomas missed it because you were getting the car. But so yeah, that's pretty much her labor and delivery story. Crazy. I don't know that I would do it again naturally.
You are a very strong person. You're very strong-willed, but you've never had a really high pain tolerance.
No, it was crazy.
I mean, I love you, but every time you suck your toe, I feel like you're gonna die.
Yeah. So, but besides the shot for numbing for the stitches, I did not get any type of drug. I didn't get an IV. I didn't get antibiotics. Like, I got absolutely nothing. So I am pretty proud of myself. I'm happy that things turned out the way they did because I really did want a natural birth.
Quick aside, 2 weeks prior to the birth, Jordan we actually got into a fight about this. Not a fight, but a fight, as couples do. Because she told me that I needed to watch some YouTube videos to learn to become more supportive of the natural birthing process. And I got mad at her because I am supportive. I really am. And I took offense to it. And Captain Sparkles here in the car is screaming at me to give her an epidural. And I take a second to say, sweetheart, are you sure you really want that? Are you going to regret it? And she goes, no. I was like, because I don't want you blaming me again. And then we get to the hospital and they tell you you don't have a choice.
I can't believe that I dilated that quickly. Like, the doctor had said, I think once contractions start, you're going to dilate very quickly. But I just had no idea how quickly. Like, how right he was. Like, he was so right.
The doula told you were going to go quick too.
Oh, and I forgot. The doula didn't even make it. She completely missed the birth.
Our doula birth photographer combo.
Doula / birth photographer. She did not make it for the birth. When she arrived, I was already on the
baby was already clean.
Yeah, I was already on the bed. Well, she never got a bath.
Well, no, but she was clean.
She was on my chest.
She was wiped off.
So she was on my chest when she came. So she did miss the birth. However, with how quickly things went and how intense my labor was, I don't even know, like, if having a doula would have made any difference. I really don't think it would have.
You were beside yourself.
So, but she was able to take some pictures, so that was nice. I was kind of sad because the only picture I got, I really wanted to videotape everything. I wanted to take pictures. The only birth tub picture I got was pictures from Thomas's phone. So.
And I don't have a great camera on my phone either. I have a work phone, so it's like, it has a stylus and I can write on it, but it's not made to take pictures.
But I'm very, very glad of the pictures that you did get because that was the only ones. So.
See, look at me being all smart and caring, and because I hate taking pictures, don't I? Like, I loathe it. This is very much her thing, but I did it for her.
All right, I think we're gonna cut off there because it's really long.
It's been 40 minutes.
So if you have any questions about my labor and delivery, just ask and I will answer them in a future update. But I think that's pretty much it. It was fast and furious, intense and crazy.
Tokyo Drift.
But I can say that I've had a natural childbirth, and it may not have been by choice in the moment, but I did it, and I'm happy about that.
Well, you've been talking about it for 9 years, so I'm just glad that she can talk about something different now.
All right, that's it. See you guys later. Bye.